All right, we continue pushing through graphic novel month on the 5-minute book review with the somewhat bleak The Crow. Yes, I know this was a hit movie from the early 90s, and Brandon Lee died while making the film, but long before the film, there was this, the graphic novel version. Where to begin? On the night before Halloween, Eric Draven and his fiancée are attacked by a gang of punks. Eric is quickly killed. His fiancée isn't that lucky. But led by a mysterious raven, Eric returns from the dead to seek revenge, and not in a Rambo Hollywood sort of way, more in a guy who lost everything sort of way. I'm going to throw this out there right away. This graphic novel is not for everyone. Even if you were a fan of the movie, this graphic novel may not be for you. It takes a lot to shock this guy, and the non-movie original version of the story left me hiding under the bed for many days. Coin toss to start, and Curtis is the winner.
You are watching the 5-minute book review starring Curtis, starring Ian. Today, we are going to continue on with graphic novel month and look at The Crow. For those of you keeping track at home, the 3 best comic books that were ever made into movies are obviously The Dark Knight, The Crow, and Sin City. That is fact. No one can dispute that. I swear I had the original of this when I was a kid, and I always grew up thinking someone stole it, it was gone, it was missing. But you know what? I'm pretty sure I had some sort of movie adaptation because, man, I sure didn't read this when I was a kid. Wow. Continuing our look at graphic novel month, everything so far has been incredibly disturbing, Ian, and this, no difference. But credit where it's due. When we talked about Joker by Brian Azzarello, we brought up how about, you know, there was kind of a rape scene that just was totally thrown away. It wasn't an integral part of the story, and we weren't cool with that. This is the exact opposite. That is the focus of the story, and that's the way it should be. Call me old-fashioned, but, you know, we shouldn't be desensitized to rape, Ian, and that's what this is all about.
Well, it's about vengeance. It's about just darkness. It's about, as odd as it sounds to say, about a guy who's brought back from the dead by a crow to get vengeance on the people that killed him and his girlfriend. It's about grim reality. I mean, I do have to argue with you on one point. While I agree that Sin City and The Crow are 2 of the best comic book adaptations, saying The Dark Knight is a comic book adaptation is a little sketchy. It's not actually based on any specific storyline or comic book. It is, don't get me wrong, it is Batman in a great light, but it's definitely not specifically based on any one storyline in Batman, whereas the other 2 you pointed out are very specifically based on something. The Crow itself is one of the grimmest things to come out of that era of sort of independent comics. It's a classic. I mean, if you've never read this graphic novel or seen the film, I suggest you do both by the next time I see you, because this is epic beyond belief.
I always thought the movie was grim, but it seems like Fantasia after you've actually read the graphic novel. Poor Eric Draven. I love the foreword too, where it really tells you, it really sets the stage. That's probably the best foreword I've ever read for a graphic novel. You know, this guy is the writer's friend. They go to these comic conventions together, and everybody asks, why did you write this? What's it based on? And he listens to his friend lie. And he doesn't tell the real story, but he's like, this is from a place where you have lost everything. Shivers down the spine, Ian.
Agreed, and that's what it is. It's about extreme loss, and I guess everyone reacts differently to it. Some people, go into a state of depression. Some people come back from the dead and murder a bunch of people. I mean, it's, like you said, like, the movie is grim. It's dark. It's made even darker by Brandon Lee's death, making it, of course, but, I mean, realistically, this is levels upon levels of darkness beyond that. It is one of the grimmest things I've ever read, and that's just the way it should be.
So many horrible parts of this just to make you think. Like,
Yeah.
I really like what they did with the little girl in here compared to the movie,
Yeah.
where they don't give you a happy ending with her. Like,
No.
that is one of the strongest lines that ever hit home. Obviously, she's living with, a junkie mom
Yeah.
and a string of, mom's boyfriends. And before he goes to his final
Boyfriends.
fight, he stops by and he says he's sorry to the little girl. He's like, I'm sorry I can't save you. I'm sorry for everything that's happened to you and everything that's going to happen to you. And then he leaves. I was like, that's not, what? No.
Yeah, it's a happy-go-lucky ending, is it? But it's the story. I mean, it's a dark story. If you read this book and all of a sudden everybody was happy at the end, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. It would be arbitrary and weird. It would be like the Marvel comics that we've discussed in previous book reviews, where it's, Aunt May has a happy ending with Peter and Mary Jane. That's not what this is. This is bad things happen to good people.
But just to go along and to reiterate my initial thoughts, it really bugs me when they just kind of gloss over a rape in a graphic novel. Like, I don't think we should be desensitized to that and just have that as kind of a passing thing in a story. So
it's kind of a weighty, it's a weighty issue, and
Yeah.
to include it in a glib manner is glib,
this.
or even not really address it, is disturbing. And it's
In Brian Azzarello's Joker, there was seriously like a one-page, just kind of side storyline that went nowhere, and I thought it was so unnecessary and
It
took
was.
away. And again, this is the exact opposite. This shows grim reality of actions and consequences. So
exactly.
couldn't give it more than 2 thumbs up if I tried. Like, you're gonna get
If I
a
had
toe
four.
up. Definite read, maybe not for everybody.
It's 4 toes up.